Hello guys, I hope you're doing well. Welcome back to Learn with Dream Words. Do you understand English when you listen or read? But when it's time to speak, you get stuck. Don't worry, this is a very common problem for many learners. In today's podcast, I'll explain why this happens and how you can fix it, step by step. Stay with me, and by the end, you'll know exactly what to do to start speaking English with confidence.
Hey there, my dear friend, and welcome back to the deep dive. Let's jump right in, shall we? Tell me if this resonates. You can watch movies in English, maybe hum along to your favorite English songs, understand your colleagues or teachers pretty well. But then comes the moment you actually need to speak. And suddenly, it feels like your tongue has just forgotten how to form words. Your mind goes blank. Maybe that familiar wave of nervousness washes over you. Sound familiar? You might even think to yourself, I understand English, but I just can't speak it.
Oh, absolutely. That feeling of being stuck, between understanding and speaking, it's incredibly common. And it's precisely what we're going to explore in depth today. This isn't just a quick overview. We're diving deep. Think of it like a personal coaching session, really, to help you unlock your speaking potential. By the time we're done, you'll not only understand why this happens, but also have a concrete plan and the confidence to start expressing yourself in English more easily.
Absolutely. So let's kick things off with the central question for this first part. Can you generally follow spoken English, whether it's in a video or a conversation, and kind of grasp the main ideas? But when it's your turn to speak, to share your thoughts or respond, does it feel like your brain just, hits a wall?
That disconnect, yeah, between comprehension and actually speaking.
Yeah.
That's the core of what we're investigating. And the very first thing we need to get straight is this situation. It's not a reflection of your abilities. It's really not your fault if you find yourself here. You are not inherently bad at languages. Definitely not too old to learn. And even if you're naturally shy, that doesn't mean you're destined to just understand in silence forever.
Exactly. So, okay, if it's not you, then what's the underlying issue? Well, the information we've been looking at points to a pretty fundamental problem, doesn't it, with how many of us have been taught English? The main issue seems to be the methods we've used. Traditional learning often puts a huge emphasis on, reading grammar rules endlessly.
Oh yeah, memorizing massive vocabulary lists.
Right, slogging through writing exercises and sing grammar tests. Now, while these things can certainly, contribute to your understanding of English,
They primarily build your passive knowledge, your capacity to decode the language, basically. But speaking, as our sources rightly point out, is a completely different skill set. It's physical. It's an action, like riding a bike or dancing, or, I love this one analogy, like playing the guitar. You can study all the music theory you want, right? You can perfectly understand musical notation, but until you actually pick up the instrument and start making sounds, you won't be able to play.
that guitar analogy really hits the mark, doesn't it? You spend hours reading about chords and scales, but that doesn't magically train your fingers where to go. And speaking English is no different. You can't expect to become a fluent speaker just by studying grammar and vocab in isolation. You need to actively practice speaking.
And that's a key insight here. If you're finding it difficult to speak English despite understanding it, the most probable reason isn't some personal failing. It's likely just that your language learning journey hasn't prioritized the right kind of speaking practice. But the good news is, as we'll explore, this is something you absolutely have the power to change.
All right, so we've got a better handle on why this might be happening. Now let's dive into part 2. The real way to learn to speak English like a native. And this is where things get really interesting.
What's fascinating here is the fundamental shift in perspective that's being suggested. Our sources champion a really powerful idea. Learn English in a way that mirrors how babies learn their first language. Think about it for months and months. Babies are just immersed in sound, right? Listening intently before they even utter their first proper word. There are no textbooks, no grammar drills, no vocabulary flashcards, just pure, focused listening.
And then, when they do start speaking, it's gradual, isn't it? One word, then two, then simple sentences. And crucially, they learn by doing, by constantly repeating and imitating the sounds and patterns they hear around them. This natural, immersive approach seems incredibly effective.
Precisely. It's the natural method, as our sources call it, and it works because it aligns with how our brains are naturally wired to acquire language. Now, contrast that with how many adults typically approach learning English. We often jump straight into memorizing long lists of words.
Yeah, or dissecting complex grammar rules.
Right, and striving for
Overwhelmed and just stuck. It's like we're trying to sprint before we've even learned how to walk properly in the language. Our brains and our mouths simply haven't had that chance to coordinate, to build that automaticity together.
Exactly. So the solution, according to our deep dive, is to embrace a speaking-first system. This means prioritizing activities that actively engage your speaking skills right from the beginning. And that leads us to the first crucial step in this new approach. Listening to understand, but with a key ingredient, emotion.
Okay, let's unpack this. It's not just about having English sounds playing in the background, is it? It's active, focused listening. And the with emotion part sounds important. Why is that so crucial?
Well, what's fascinating here is the powerful link between emotion and how our brains process and retain information. It's pretty well established. We're much more likely to remember things that are connected to a feeling. So when you listen to something that genuinely excites you or makes you happy or even surprises you, your brain pays closer attention and the learning process becomes much more engaging and, well, effective.
That makes a lot of sense. So what kind of audio should we be looking for then? Our sources give us some specific criteria, right?
They do. The ideal listening material should be, first off, relatively easy for you to understand. Aim for about 80 to 90% comprehension. Second, it needs to be genuinely enjoyable or interesting to you. That's key for engagement and those emotional connections. And third, crucially, it needs to be spoken by native speakers. This exposes you to authentic pronunciation and the natural rhythm, the music of the language.
And we get some great examples too, like short podcasts about your hobbies, maybe easy to follow stories on YouTube, English learning shows like Speak English with Vanessa and AJ Hoagie. I know those are quite popular.
Yeah, they're great resources. And even beginner-friendly audiobooks, lots of options. The key here, though, is consistency. Our sources really emphasize the importance of daily listening, even if it's just for 20 to 40 minutes while you're doing other routine stuff like walking, cleaning, commuting. It's about consistently feeding your brain with those English sounds every single day.
All right, step 1. Listen with emotion to engaging, understandable, native English content daily. Got it. Now, step 2 sounds very active. Shadowing speak with the speaker. What exactly does this technique involve?
Shadowing is a really powerful technique. Basically, you listen to a sentence or a short bit of English audio, and then you immediately repeat it, trying to mimic the speaker as closely as possible, like their shadow or an echo.
The sources even give us a little demo, right? Like if you hear, I'm going to the store, you immediately say, I'm going to the store, trying to match their tone, their rhythm.
Exactly. Or if you hear, what do you mean? Sank, E, you repeat, what do you mean? Really trying to capture the feeling in their voice. The main instruction here is just copy. Don't stop to analyze grammar or words. It's pure imitation. And the benefits are huge. It's like a workout for your speaking muscles, your mouth, your tongue. It trains pronunciation.
So it helps with the physical act of speaking?
Precisely. And it helps you internalize the natural rhythm and flow of English. Pick up common phrases automatically and build what the sources call speaking memory. Your brain's ability to just produce phrases when you need them without thinking too hard.
It's like you're not just understanding the language intellectually, but you're actually training your body to produce it. It's almost like learning a musical piece, not just by reading the notes, but by listening and playing along.
That's a perfect analogy. And the recommendation is to start small. Maybe just 5 or 10 minutes of shadowing each day. Then you can gradually increase it as you get more comfortable. The sources suggest you should start noticing a real difference in your speaking within just a few weeks of doing this consistently.
That's really encouraging. Okay, so we're listening actively, then immediately mimicking. Step 3 addresses that really common concern. But I don't have anyone to speak with.
Yeah, this is a big one for many learners, especially if you don't live in an English-speaking place. But our sources offer a valuable reminder. You can actually practice speaking English every single day, even if you're totally on your own.
The key is to engage in 2 specific actions.
Okay, and those are?
Firstly, self-talk. It sounds simple, maybe a bit weird at first, but it's just talking out loud to yourself in English. You can describe what you're doing, talk about your plans, make up little conversations. One source gives a great example. Today I'm going to the market. I need to buy tomatoes. Forgot my wallet. It's a surprisingly effective way to practice forming sentences and just get comfortable with the sound of your own voice speaking English.
It's like having a practice partner who is always there and never judges. And the second action involves using technology and connecting with others, right? Absolutely. Our sources recommend apps like HelloTalk and Tandem, great for finding language partners. They also mention AI speaking tools like TalkPal and Elsa Speak, which are getting really good, and even using the voice features on platforms like ChatGPT to practice. The core message here is clear. Don't stay silent just because you don't have someone face to face. Find ways to speak.
Right. So step 3 is all about breaking the silence. Actively speak English every day, whether it's to yourself or using these tools. Now, step 4 shifts our focus a bit, from individual words to something bigger. Learn phrases, not words. Tell us more about this.
This is really crucial and often missed. While vocabulary is important, of course, native speakers don't usually speak by sticking individual words together like Lego bricks. We speak in chunks, in phrases. Our sources give good examples like, I'm gonna go to the store, let me see, give me a break, you know what I mean?
Yeah, those everyday expressions that make English sound natural and fluent. So instead of just memorizing isolated words, we should pay more attention to how words group together naturally.
Exactly. The advice is, when you're listening or shadowing, actively listen for these useful phrases, note them down, then consciously practice saying them over and over. The goal is to get these phrases so ingrained that they just pop out automatically when you need them without you having to build the sentence word by word.
So it's about building a mental library of these ready-made chunks. Okay. And that leads us nicely into step 5, which might be a different way of thinking for some. Don't study grammar rules, use grammar naturally.
Now, this isn't saying grammar doesn't matter at all. It's about how you learn and apply it for speaking. Our sources advise against getting bogged down in those complicated technical grammar explanations. One source even gives that typical example, the present perfect continuous is used to describe and calls it too slow and too technical for fluency.
Okay, so if we're not focusing on meticulously studying rules, how do we learn to use grammar correctly when we speak?
The suggestion is to learn it through exposure and repetition, through using it. Much like we learned our first language, when you repeatedly hear and shadow correct grammar in real English, your brain starts to absorb the patterns. It gets the feel of it.
One source gives a specific technique, right? Like hearing a sentence say, I've been working all day, and then just repeating it many times, maybe 20 times.
Precisely. The idea is that this repetition, the physical act of saying it, helps your brain internalize the structure subconsciously. It's like learning grammar like music through rhythm and feel, not just theory. This leads to more intuitive, automatic use when you speak, rather than consciously trying to apply rules on the fly, which is really hard to do in conversation.
So training your ear and your mouth to naturally produce correct grammar through lots of listening and repetition, instead of just relying on textbook rules, that's a really interesting perspective.
It is, isn't it? And it really sets the stage perfectly for part 3, where we move from understanding the method to actually putting it into action. Building a powerful daily speaking routine, because knowledge is great, but consistent action is what creates change.
Exactly. So we've covered the why and the how. Now it's time for the when and the what. A practical daily plan. And the encouraging news here is that while fluency takes time, significant progress is definitely possible with a smart, structured routine, maybe even in 30 days.
And the best part, this routine doesn't mean you need a private tutor or expensive classes. Not necessarily. It's a set of actionable steps you can integrate into your day. Consistency is the name of the game.
Okay, so let's break down this daily routine. Sources suggest aiming for about 30 to 60 minutes total. Step 1, 10-15 minutes of listening. We talked about this. Morning is often good. Choose enjoyable stuff you understand, maybe 80-90% of.
That's right. That morning listening is your input, feeding your brain right at the start of the day. Easy to do passively while you're getting ready, having coffee, whatever.
Step 2. 10-15 minutes of shadowing. Again, focusing on just a minute or two of audio from what you listen to. The key here is really mimicking the rhythm, the tone, the emotion in the speaker's voice.
Yeah, that active part. Connecting listening and speaking directly. Training your mouth. And don't worry about mistakes here. It's like building muscle. It takes practice.
Step 3. Another 10-15 minutes of self-talk. Speaking out loud to yourself in English. Talk about your day, your opinions, make up stories. One source even suggests recording yourself sometimes. See where you can improve.
Self-talk is amazing for practicing forming your own sentences. Thinking directly in English, no pressure. Standing up, using gestures can even make it feel more real, more engaging.
Step 4, 10-15 minutes for actual conversation or AI speaking practice. If you have language partners, tutors, friends, this is the time. Or use those AI tools we mentioned.
Exactly. Get that interactive practice. Even if it's with an AI, it helps simulate real conversation flow. One source even playfully suggested thinking of this deep dive as a partner. Mentally ask us questions, respond to what we're saying.
That's a fun way to think about it. And then there's an optional bonus, 5-10 minutes if you have time. Like watching short video clips and repeating, learning a few new phrases, maybe writing a short journal entry and reading it aloud.
The big message woven through all this is consistency over intensity. Little bits every day beat infrequent marathon sessions. Think of it like going to the gym. You get stronger with regular, manageable workouts. And the sources suggest that within about 30 days of this kind of routine, you can genuinely expect to notice improvements. Better pronunciation, thinking faster in English, more confidence, less fear.
That sounds really achievable, but what happens if you miss a day? Life happens.
Oh, totally. The key is not to beat yourself up or give up. If you miss a day, just acknowledge it. Get right back on track the next day. It's about the overall journey, consistent effort, not some kind of impossible perfection. To really drive this home, one source shared a great story about Amina from Morocco. She understood English well, but was super shy about speaking. She followed a similar plan, listening, shadowing, self-talk, daily habits, and overcame her fear. After about 30 days, she actually had a full conversation with a tourist. Imagine that confidence boost.
Amina's story is fantastic, a real reminder this stuff works. Okay, now we need to tackle something huge, part 4. Fixing the fear, how to stop being afraid to speak English.
This is often the biggest wall, isn't it? You can have the knowledge, do the practice, but that fear, it just stops you. Sources list those common fears. Sounding stupid, being laughed at, using the wrong word.
And it's so important to normalize that. Those feelings are completely normal. Every learner feels that way sometimes.
Exactly.
Yeah.
But the crucial point here, the solution according to our sources, is this. The only way to stop being afraid is to speak while you are afraid. You have to face it. Each time you speak, even feeling anxious, that fear gets a little bit smaller.
And a huge part of that is changing how we view mistakes, isn't it?
Absolutely. We need to reframe mistakes. See them not as failures, not as reasons to feel shame, but as teachers, as opportunities to learn. One source uses that brilliant analogy of a baby learning to walk. They fall down constantly, but they don't criticize themselves. They just get back up and try again.
That's so powerful. Babies don't have that harsh inner critic we develop as adults.
Exactly. And fluency, one source points out, isn't about never making mistakes. Fluent speakers make mistakes all the time. Fluency is about not being afraid to make them. It's about communicating, even imperfectly.
Okay, so what practical things can we do to actually reduce that fear when we do speak?
Our sources give several great strategies. 1, speak slowly, consciously slow down. There's no prize for speaking fast. Slow and clear is powerful, gives you time to think, to breathe, reduces anxiety. 2, use simple words. Fluency isn't about fancy vocabulary, it's about being understood. Simplify. Instead of, I feel utterly frustrated and overwhelmed, maybe just, I feel bad, I don't know what to do. It's easier when you're nervous.
That makes perfect sense. Keep it manageable. What else?
Practice alone first. Use that self-talk, recording, shadowing. Build confidence without the pressure of an audience. Also, celebrate small wins. Seriously, acknowledge every time you try to speak. Maybe you asked for directions, ordered coffee. Celebrate it. Confidence builds bit by bit. And finally, surround yourself with positivity. Find supportive people, supportive environments. Tune out the negativity. One source even offers this deep dive as a source of support, reminding you you're not alone in this.
Those are all incredibly practical and encouraging. Okay, we've reached part 5. Time to put it all into action. Speak with me, real practice and speaking exercises.
Right. This is where you, our listener, actively participate. 3 ground rules for this section, okay? 1, don't be shy. 2, speak out aloud, not just in your head. 3, repeat each line twice. Ready?
Let's start with a warm-up. Repeat after me. I'll say a sentence, you repeat it out loud twice. Here we go. I understand English, but I want to speak better.
Pause for repeat by 2. I'm not afraid of making mistakes anymore. Pause for repeat by 2. Speaking English is fun. I enjoy it. Pause for repeat by 2. Every day I'm improving, step by step. Pause for repeat by 2. I can do this. I will do this. Pause for repeat by 2.
Excellent. Now, conversation practice. I'll be person A and B. You repeat both parts out loud. First conversation. At a coffee shop. A. Hi. What can I get for you today? B. Hi. I'll take a small coffee, please. A. Sure. Anything else? B. No, that's all. Thank you. A. That'll be $2.50. B. Here you go. Keep the change. Okay, now take a moment and repeat that full conversation out loud. Great. Next conversation. Meeting someone new. Again, repeat both parts. A. Hey, nice to meet you. B. Nice to meet you too. What's your name? A. I'm Sarah. And you? B. I'm Ahmed. Where are you from? A. I'm from Canada. How about you? B. I'm from Egypt. I'm learning English. Now repeat that one again. Maybe try saying it just a little bit faster this time.
Good job. Following that, some shadowing practice with real-life phrases. Listen carefully and repeat immediately after me. Ready? Hey, how's it going? Pause for repeat. Not bad, just a little tired. Pause for repeat. Yeah, I stayed up too late last night. Pause for repeat. I know what you mean. Pause for repeat. I've got a busy day today, though. Pause for repeat. Same here. Let's catch up later, okay? Pause for repeat. Sounds good. Talk to you soon.
Pause for repeat. Really try to match the speed and the natural flow. Nice work. Now let's strengthen that speaking memory with phrase repetition. I'll say a common phrase. You repeat it 5 times out loud. I'm not sure. Pause for repeat by 5. That's a good idea. Pause for repeat by 5. Can you say that again? Pause for repeat by 5. I totally agree. Pause for repeat by 5. Let me think about it. Pause for repeat by 5.
Perfect. And for our final practice activity, quick response practice. Think fast. I'll ask simple questions. Answer quickly, out loud, don't overthink. Ready? What did you eat today? Pause for answer. What time did you wake up this morning? Pause for answer. What's your favorite movie? Pause for answer. Do you prefer coffee or tea? Pause for answer. What are your plans for this weekend? Pause for answer.
Okay, that brings us to the end of our practice session. You did it. You actively listened, shadowed, repeated, spoke aloud, answered questions. You didn't just learn about speaking, you practiced speaking English. You should absolutely feel proud of that effort.
Now, as we wrap up, let's be real for a second. Learning to speak English fluently, it takes time. It takes patience with yourself. And yeah, it definitely takes courage. There will be days when you feel tired or like you're not progressing fast enough. Those negative thoughts might creep in. I'm not good enough. Maybe I should just quit. Please remember those thoughts are just, well, they're lies. They're not true. The fact that you've stuck with this deep dive, listened all the way through, that shows real commitment. That puts you way ahead.
Absolutely. And when those tough feelings do pop up, here are a few strategies from our sources to keep you going. First, look back. Acknowledge how far you've already come. Maybe you couldn't even say hello comfortably before, and now you're doing these exercises. That's huge progress. Second, keep engaging with English you love. Favorite shows, music, games, creators online. Make it fun, make it rewarding. Third, commit to speaking every day, even just 5 minutes of self-talk. Consistency is everything. And finally, integrate English into your life. Little things, phone language, to-do lists, social media follows. Make it part of your world.
Remember why you started this. Was it for travel? A better job? Connecting with new friends? Understanding movies without subtitles? Living abroad someday? Being able to speak English unlocks so many doors. But it starts with speaking. Every day. Even when you're scared, even when it's not perfect, every time you speak, you build strength and you shrink that fear.
My dear listener, you are more capable than you might realize right now. You're more ready than you think. That future you, the one speaking English confidently, they're waiting, keep going. Come back to this deep dive whenever you need a boost or more practice. Use it as your training partner. And when you get there, when you're speaking comfortably, remember this effort. Remember you believed in yourself.
Thank you so much for joining us on this journey today. If you found this valuable, maybe share it with someone else who's struggling with the same thing. And always remember this, you don't need to be perfect. You just need to be brave. Brave enough to start, brave enough to keep going. We're genuinely proud of you for taking this on.
No, go speak English. Go be amazing. We'll be right here for you in the next deep dive. Take great care, my friend, and please never stop speaking.